Hello there guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the 2017 CollectA Excallibosaurus. You have to excuse me if my voice sounds a bit weird, I've got a cold right now. I was not originally planning on getting this, but well, I don't know when these videos are going to be going out, but you may have already seen it. For a late Jurassic video in Western Europe. So, strictly speaking, it shouldn't be Excallibosaurus, but my choices were the Safari Ichthyosaurus, the PNSO Ophthalmosaurus, or this thing. And I went with this partly because it would be more difficult to lose in the filming location, and it scales decently well with the Safari Chronosaurus, which it will be sharing the scene with. I must say, this is one of the weirder ichthyosaurs out there. I had to do a bit of research not long after I got it, and it turns out that there is actually a species of Excallibosaurus that has teeth like this that extend beyond the end of the lower jaw. There is another species where the teeth stop here, and then the third species has a full-length dentary, but this is based on the type species. I think it's pretty good overall. There are a few minor nitpicks. There are a few things I thought were nitpicks, like this flipper being curved up like this. I thought it was a factory defect, but having looked at it more closely, because it's clearly turning in the water, I think it's supposed to be on purpose. And I also really like the way they've done the colors. Like, obviously black and white are the most generic colors for a marine reptile you can think of, but I think it works well. I like how they did, well, yeah, the patterns are slightly different on one side, but I like how they got the white around the eye and how it goes down. The paint application, especially on the rostrum, was a little bit lackluster, but that's understandable given how lemon small this thing is. Like, they sculpted every single individual tooth, but you'll see there's a tiny little bit of paint bleeding here and there from the teeth onto the upper jaw. Man, there's even paint bleeding from the lower jaw onto the teeth. This eye is ever so slightly offset. Again, factory defects. And seam lines. I don't usually complain about seam lines because they're not usually a problem, but this one has 4 particularly noticeable ones. We've got one in between the flippers on both sides. There's one going along the tail, and then on the fluke itself is a separate piece. You see there, it's a rather obvious seam line, unfortunately. Slightly more obvious from this side. Oh yeah, and also this one above the cloaca that shows where this piece was attached. It's kind of weird, like I would have thought something like this could have come out of a mold, especially since it's rubbery, so they could have, I don't know, had the mold be a bit more straight and then bent it or something. I don't know. But for a 2017 figure, it's not bad for CollectA. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to bring in some size comparisons now. Got the standard of Papodimetrodon, my other CollectA marine reptiles, which is the 2020 Elasmosaurus and the mini Lipleurodon. Also, these are in the same scale, and this kind of gives you an idea of how ridiculously big this guy is. And a couple of other things. We've got the Megalosaurus, which still refuses to stand up. I keep talking about hot water surgery, but I never do it. And just for something else, here's the Science and Nature Leilanosaura, which of course also doesn't want to stand up because I got the wrong thing out of the box again. There's only one of them that actually wants to stand up. Anyway, because I don't know a lot about this animal, well, from the research I've done, I think I know enough. Anatomically wise, it's pretty darn good, but it's mainly just the factory defects, like the paint bleeding and the depressingly obvious seam lines. So, I think I'm gonna have to give this, well, the seam lines aren't particularly obvious unless you look really closely, so I think I'm gonna give it a 4.6. Because they're not egregious problems, they are just slight annoyances. Right, so with that all out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.